Hi, thanks for joining us. Today I'm joined by Mr. Bob Borson, AIA, a principal with the award-winning firm Malone Maxwell Borson Architects in Dallas, Texas. In addition to being a principal of the architectural firm, Mr. Borson is also an emerging voice in the architectural profession as the writer behind the blog Life of an Architect, one of the world's most popular architectural blogs. He has bridged the gap and engaged multiple generations of architects and architectural enthusiasts by sharing his personal experiences, professional practice tips, and anecdotes on what it's like to be and work with an architect. Bob, it's my pleasure to speak with you this morning.
Hi, Adam. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Great. So to start off, architects are typically known for drawing pretty pictures. How did you get into writing a blog?
By accident, quite honestly. It was late fall of 2009. It was around Christmas time, and I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. He's an attorney, and he focuses on architecture, or he focuses on technology for lawyers. And he said a single sentence that had about 10 words in it that I'd never heard before. And it made me feel that I was technologically irrelevant. And as a result, I thought, well, I got to do something about this. So within a couple of days, I actually decided I was going to set up this blog just to learn how to do it. I didn't have any agendas. I didn't have any goals other than to figure out what all this stuff was. And that was during the recession. We all remember the recession that started around 2009.
Painful.
And I needed a creative outlet. So that's really why I kind of stuck with it. So.
And how has producing content for the blog influenced your practice as an architect?
It's actually had a huge impact on it. From one standpoint, I write about 2 to 3 posts every week, which is really hard. I mean, this is basically homework for a grown man who has a full-time job. We know how much time our jobs demand of us in terms of time. And so the act of doing it kind of does 2 things for me. One is it really makes me focus in and know my stuff, right? I mean, because if I talk about something, people will let me know if I've done something that's a little crazy or if I've missed something. I mean, people tell me when I use the wrong contraction. I mean, They don't hold back, right? But the other thing that's been really positive is I'm in this constant pursuit of what am I going to talk about? There's that design challenge, and we know that if you don't ever design anything, it's hard to just pick up a pencil or a pen and just start doing it. And the way I kind of look at the things that I talk about on the blog are really just things that I have an interest in, but it's required me to learn new skills. It's taught me my photography's gotten a lot better. My communication skills have gotten a lot better. My ability to manage my calendar has gotten a lot better because it's so congested now. So it's really forced me to step my game up in ways that I never had any idea was going to happen.
That's interesting. You plan on doing it for years to come, or do you see an end in sight?
Well, I keep telling myself that I'm going to quit because it's a lot of work and it's hard and it's mentally exhausting. But the coolest things that have happened to me in my life, especially in my professional life, have happened since I started writing this blog. My wife looks at it and she gets I get a lot of eye rolls from my wife because I'll say, hey, Zaha Hadid sent me an email yesterday. She's like, who's Zaha Hadid? And I go, all right, well, she's not really my audience, but what ends up happening that's kind of cool is it's engaged me with people that are like me. I used to think I'm the same person I always was. And by having this blog and using it in the way that I use it, which is first person narrative stories kind of thing, I realized that this is a really small community, even though we're spread out across the globe. I mean, I think I read in a recent AIA report that there's only about 106,000 architects in the United States. And there's 3 times that many lawyers in the city of Los Angeles. So what you find is that the people who like what we do, we're all very similar. And as soon as you kind of put yourself out there to say, this is what I'm thinking, the line forms to the left that people that are in agreeing with you or they have an opinion about what you're talking. I mean, it's really been a lot of fun.
That's great. Your upcoming session for this fall's conference is entitled Making a Connection. Can you briefly describe what we'll be hearing during your talk?
Yeah, I can. It's funny. Everybody talks about social media. Whenever I go someplace now, since most of the people outside of my own community, they know me from Life of an Architect. And so everybody's starting to realize, hey, maybe there's something to this social media. Maybe I need to be on Twitter. Maybe I need to have a blog. And they do what most erudite people do, is they get a book or they go hire an expert to tell them what to do. And the truth is everybody's doing it wrong. If I look at what people tell me I should be doing, I break every single one of those rules. And part of it's because I started doing it before anybody else was doing it. So I didn't know the way that you were supposed to do it or things you weren't supposed to do. It was just trial and error for me.
Yeah.
And what I realized is that architects have really cool jobs. People really like what we do, even though they don't understand it. And so most of the things I try to talk about on my site, I talk about them in real simple terms. I talk to them as if you're not an educated, architecturally educated person, but you're just kind of enthusiast. You just think that what we do is kind of neat. So what I thought I'd focus on was, since making the connections the theme, is to talk about how can you, it could be you, Adam, it could be anybody, how can you use what you do for a living to help not only your own profession, but you personally, by connecting with people in certain ways. Because if you do it the way the experts tell you to do it, it doesn't work, it's not a lot of fun, and you're not going to get much benefit from it. But if you do it like I'm doing it, then who knows what's going to happen. Like I said earlier, the last 4 years have been the most amazing professionally I've had ever. So.
Well, that's great. That's great words of advice. And it looks like we're running up pretty close to the end of our time here, but thank you so much for your time. I feel like I need to go write something now.
Well, let me know if you need any help.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Bob.
All right, Adam.
Bye-bye.